I'm pleased to be interviewing Jacqueline Dalt, who will talk to us about her experiences with the Women's Center as a consumer of their services. Jackie will bring in the information about how and why she happened to utilize the Women's Center and her experience with it. She'll begin by telling us a little bit about her background, and then we'll move into some general questions. Jackie, I'm delighted you're able to do this with us.
And I'm very happy to do it because I feel the Women's Center helped me so much.
Fine. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was born in the UP and lived in Iron Mountain. I lived in the UP almost all my life. I did work in Milwaukee for a very short while, but then came back to the UP.
And what community were you? Did you grow up Marquette?
No, in Iron Mountain, which is about 90 miles from Iron Mountain.
And what brought you to Marquette?
I had been married over 20 years. It was not a happy marriage, and I finally realized that I wanted to go on and do something different, and I needed more education to be able to put quality into my life. And I was taking courses through Northern. The instructors would come to Iron Mountain at night. So I started taking a few courses through Northern at night and then decided I couldn't finish or complete too many to get a degree. So that's when I decided I wanted to go back to Northern.
How did, what field were you interested in? How did you happen to choose that?
Well, I was interested in business, but ended up as a social worker, which somehow my life was steered that way. And I found that I liked the field.
And no doubt you brought your business talents along with you.
Yes, which were very helpful to being a social worker. Mm-hmm. I could write grants. I knew about budgeting and things like that, which are very important.
Sure. Did you have children during this period?
Yes.
Were they with you during your studies, the period of your studies?
My 4 children were with me when I started at Northern in Iron Mountain. But my 2 older children, my oldest daughter was in college, and my second son was going into the Marines. He had finished high school. And I decided at that point, with my 2 younger ones still not in the higher grades, I decided that a move would be better during this period of time.
So they came with you to Marquette?
The 2 younger came with me. Right. And the 2 older were out of the home by that time.
Right. So your primary reason for coming was to complete your studies. And were you challenged in terms of raising children and earning a living and going to school? That burden seems to be quite common among.
I had a very good job, and I was very successful in it. But I realized that in order to support my family, the 2 younger, I needed to get training in a better paying job.
All right. At what point did you connect with the Women's Center? Was it in existence when you arrived at Northern, or?
You know, I thought about it, and I don't know. I decided to come here and go on campus and see about a lot of things, how to actually move and find housing, and also how to enroll as a full-time student. And I don't know if maybe I had heard there was a women's center here. I really don't know, but when I came here, I didn't know really where to go or any place, and it dawned on me, hey, maybe this women's center would be, and I walked in there.
And so it was on campus at the time?
It was on campus. It was on campus for quite a while when I moved up here.
Mm-hmm. In the 70s then, you were here in the
Yeah,
late 70s?
I came here in 75.
Okay. All right, so you walked into the Women's Center office, and what happened there?
Well, I think at this time there were a lot of women that were starting to be empowered. You know, they were in marriages that weren't too bad or bad. And I think women were deciding that they weren't going to stay in these marriages. And they had, I think, a few women coming in at that time. And they understood, and I think they actually took the financial aid person and came down and talked to me. They also told me about student housing.
So they really eased you into this new situation and connected you with the proper resources?
Well, yes. What I liked about it is they didn't do it for me. They just showed me what to do. And I liked that because it seemed like before that everybody was telling me what to do. And I liked that feeling of them thinking that I was able to do it and would help me, but wouldn't do it for me.
And that's where that term empowering keeps coming into all these conversations. It was to help women know that they were capable and then direct them to in some of the ways that they could connect with what was important to them.
Because now as I look back, when you're in a marriage, and my ex-husband completely dominated me, and I thought I had no value whatsoever, and yet I was employed, I was successful, I actually was supporting the family fully. But I didn't think that, I didn't know, even realize what I was doing, that I was capable. But when somebody keeps telling you, you aren't, you believe it after a while.
So would you say the Women's Center was critical in your turnaround in helping? You must have known to some degree inside that you were capable, but you couldn't get a hold of it. It wasn't reinforced until you came to campus.
And I think they reinforced it. They supported me, and they were excited about what I was doing.
Sounds very good. Sounds very good. So how much connection did you maintain with them as you were going through school? Or once you got into the right setting and got your studies on, was that pretty much it?
No. When I was on campus, I'd go to the Women's Center, and it was smaller, and there was always somebody you could talk to. I did. I was doing some work study, and I think it was one semester I worked there. I met some other women that were coming back, and
Was there support among the women, the other
oh
clients?
yes,
Did
we
you
met.
find each other and
I met other women, and we were supportive of one another. They had excellent workshops. They had assertive training, which I needed. And one workshop I took, and it has helped me so much, was active listening.
can you describe that a little bit?
Well, it was listening to what people are saying, and don't be ready there to just jump in and talk about yourself. It was a conversation you give and take, which has helped me, I think, all of the years.
Probably in your profession as a social worker, but also just personally.
Yes.
Yes. I can appreciate that. Something I need to work on. We all do, I guess. So you mentioned workshops. Were there any others? The assertiveness training, definitely I've heard women speak of how helpful that was. Gaining, again, the confidence that you
Yeah.
could speak out.
Oh,
Were there support groups per se where women would just get together and chat about common problems?
yeah. They'd have, I think they were peer leaders. They would sort of focus in on the group so we wouldn't go in all kinds of tangents. But I learned a lot in those groups. And they were so positive and so supportive.
Do you recall any of the staff names at that point in time?
I remember Holly Greer. I remember Judy, I think her name was Judith Russell.
She was a counselor, I believe, on the
Yeah,
staff.
she was, I think, one of the first counselors.
Okay. Can you give us a little more now how that led you when you got your degree, and did you continue then to get support, or did you find you were always, not just from the Women's Center, but as a woman in a position, I think you mentioned to me you worked for the county or the state?
I worked for the county. As I went along, I didn't go to the women's centers much, but I found it convenient when they were located on campus. When they left campus, I took some workshops, but it was like they had helped me, and I was able
To
move on.
Yeah, yeah. Give us a little bit about your career, though. I know something of it, and it just is very interesting. You worked not in an internship, but just in a basic position and earned your way into a...
Well, what happened, I had graduated, and my children, it was in the spring, and my children were still in school. So I had decided to wait until they were through in school and then decide what I was going to do. And one of my friends who worked for the Department of Social Services told me about a job, a 6-week job. And I thought, could that be perfect? You know, they'll bridge this gap and I'll be able to make some money. And I went there and I did just some, what I did was I would read files. They were overcome with paper. And what I did was read papers and determine what should be kept and what should be discarded. And it was utterly fascinating. I could understand why people were in the positions they were at. I read a lot of hard poverty and how it affected people. And then I think I worked there about, maybe a month. And the director, who was new, had just come, and he talked to me about a job he was going to start. And he showed it to me, and it was like, wow.
Perfect match.
It was, and I think he saw it too.
Do you recall who that was?
His name was Dave Burns.
Dave Burns, okay. And he was, I think you had mentioned to me another time, very supportive throughout your career with that program and vice versa.
Yeah, it was like he was confident in my ability, and he left me sort of organize this project, and he wasn't on it, but he didn't watch, or he let me go, and if I had problems I went to him. Otherwise he just left me develop.
You knew you were capable. So did you stay with that organization and that kind of work? Or again, fill us in on your career, because I think it's an interesting one.
I worked for the Department of Social Services for 28 years. I designed a project, and it was a project with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. And my project was awarded the most innovative social problem, most innovative social problem, and I went to Washington, D.C.
And what basically did it deal with, the program that you instituted?
The program dealt with finding resources for people needing hospital care and had no funding. And I would go into the hospital, interview the people, and found different programs so they could receive health care.
Is this an ongoing program? It certainly would be timely now in 2013.
The sad part is they kept cutting the program, the funding in that. And when I retired, the program was eliminated.
Discontinued. Hopefully absorbed in some way, but probably not.
Not as much.
No.
It was like they took my baby.
Well, you and I were acquainted also in mental health programming. You served on the board of Pathways for I don't know how many years.
About 17.
17 years. Again, you can't direct any of this or connect it directly maybe with a women's center, but your ability to work with people in need or challenged obviously spilled over. Can you describe a little bit how you got involved?
Well, My son was in a very serious accident, and he had a brainstem injury. And I worked with mental health for a while. I'm trying to get some programs that he would fit in. And then the mental health workers helped me at times to get people with documentation so that they would be eligible for Medicaid. And they were very cooperative. And it helped in my work to be able to develop that rapport with them.
Okay, and so did you approach them about being on the board, or did they come after you to serve?
No, I noticed there was an opening, and I applied. And then I worked in the courthouse, and a lot of the commissioners knew me because of working in the courthouse.
Okay, so it was a nice blending of programs. And do you feel in any way you were a mentor, carrying what you'd learned from the Women's Center and in your life to other women? You obviously encountered women in your work who were challenged financially and educationally. Do you feel your life experience helped you to help them?
I feel like because of my life, I had a rapport with people that had struggles. I think I was a better worker because I understood where a lot of people were coming from.
And they probably could sense that in you, you know.
They probably could.
Right. Very good. Let me see. I think you've really indicated. One of the questions I have is, do you feel your life changed because of your involvement with the Women's Center? Anything you want to elaborate on?
Well, my life was certainly enriched, and I was able to support my family. I went on, and it's a job that provided wonderful health care benefits. I had a pension, which I wouldn't have had.
So it's the combination of your having the grit to move ahead and take control of your life with support of, I'm sure there are other significant people, but places like the Women's Center really did make a difference.
Well, the Women's Center was the start. I wanted something, but I really didn't know what to do. And how I ever walked into the Women's Center, I think I was guided.
It was supposed to happen somehow.
It was supposed to happen.
Now, have you kept in touch at all with the activities of the Women's Center? They've ebbed and flowed, but for example, there's the spouse abuse shelter now. There's other programs that they're doing. Have you been in touch or involved at all in that?
I was active in the spouse abuse program right at the beginning. Before they had the shelter, the police, if a woman had to be taken out of the home for her own protection, they would bring them to homes in the area. And I did that for a while.
And we've talked to some of the people, actually many of them were the founding mothers who would shelter those women, and that's apparently when it became so obvious we needed a
Yeah.
place that could be, known to shelter people. So you were in at the ground floor there.
Yeah. I was in a very abusive marriage, so I knew what that was
What
like.
that meant. Okay. Well, Jackie, if there's anything else you wish to add, feel free to add it. Otherwise, we'll close, and this will go on the record.
Thank you. I am so indebted to the Women's Center. And now, as I look at it, some of the younger women don't realize what a struggle it was.
To get started, yes.
To get started, it was a new field.
And I think maybe you and I have talked about it, but that's one of the motivations for getting these stories on the record, so that younger people will have a resource to look back on and say, hey, this hasn't always been here.
Yeah.
And we need to work to keep it going. That's the other concern. If we lose the focus, then it's harder to raise funds, it's harder to convince people of the need. So you're doing a service by sharing your story. It's wonderful.
I'm very happy to share.
Thank you.